And action. What's going on, everybody? Didn't do a video there that last week. Life got a little crazy, business got a little crazy, but decided to pop on here and do one today, a quick one. Just give you my final opinion of the Super Bowl. Obviously didn't go as I hoped it would, but nevertheless, obviously, it's not as painful as it was last year, in my opinion. I'll get to that in just a second. But also touch on some of our free agents, getting into a little bit of Bills talk, and kind of seeing where we're going to go. We're less than a month, actually, away from the start of the new league year, which the legal tampering period begins March 11th. And then 48 hours later, the new league year is March 13th. I believe it's a Monday and a Wednesday, 11th and 13th. So, so from the game, this is going to sound very homerish, if you will, but I thought it was a complete and utter choke job by San Fran. I think that they, once again, just threw away a phenomenal opportunity to win a championship. Something they did the first time they played the Chiefs a couple years ago. So, I thought them losing Greenlaw was huge. I think that if there was one significant move or something that happened along the game, that impacted the game tremendously. The guy that filled in for Greenlaw was targeted 9 times and gave up 9 catches for, I think it was like 140-something yards or something like that. I mean, again, that's why that guy's a backup, right? And Greenlaw's a great player. So that sucked. I think the game goes differently if Greenlaw plays. So that's first and foremost, and just bits and part of the game, right? So bits and pieces a part of the game from my opinion. San Fran gets that pick, and it's 10-0. They get that pick, and the next 8 of 9 plays are passing plays. Complete miss by Shanahan. And that was a moment in the game where McCaffrey was running very well. I know the average is going to, be brought up. He averaged 3.4, under 4 carry, 3.5, whatever it was. That was, why are you trying to go for the kill shot at that point in time? Makes no sense to me. You're already up 10. You're up 2 scores. Why are you... Your goal right now should be to keep possession of the football and keep Mahomes off the field. That should be the number one goal. Even if you get a field goal there, to go up, to have a 2 touchdown, extra point advantage. That Kansas City approaches it differently, in my opinion. I just, that was a huge mess. A huge mess. And, kudos to Butker. Pardon me. Oh, I don't want to yawn on these things. Part of me, like, that kick was amazing. He's a phenomenal kicker. He drills that, 55, 6, 7, whatever it was, yarder. So that was one thing, just the turnover. I'm trying to keep my head out of this, that. The way that San Fran approached the second half with the lead was, we don't want to lose. It was very, 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 very evident. They were trying to hang on. They felt that maybe, and they did a good job through, 3-ish quarters of limiting Kansas City offensively. They did. Problem is, fourth quarter, and then obviously into overtime, Mahomes is Mahomes. And I'm not taking away from, his level of greatness and what he's accomplished and all those types of things. I don't respect him as an opponent, and everybody knows why. And if you don't watch videos that I've done in the past. But I'm sorry, the things that happened throughout the game and throughout the postseason for Kansas City. I had this conversation with a buddy here yesterday, or maybe it was Monday. At some point, the horseshoe's going to fall out of the ass. And don't get me wrong, I fully know that luck plays a part of this. The ball bounces the right way. All of a sudden, there's a miscommunication. Some guy's wide open for a wide open touchdown. Weather, there's just some things that it's outside of X's and O's types of stuff where these things don't typically happen. You want to call it divine intervention. You want to call it scripts, whatever. At some point, it's going to end. Right? I'm not seeing all of a sudden Kansas City is going to go into the tank and finish dead last in the AFC West for the next decade. No. But at some point, the ball's not going to hit the dude's foot and then bounce through the hands of a punt returner and give you optimal field position after you recover a fumble. That if you played it back 99 more times, you might recover it 2 more times. Right? Again, it happened. Kudos. You recover the ball. You did your job. But it's things like that. It's things like you played 4 teams, Miami, Buffalo, Baltimore, San Fran. And outside of the Baltimore game, you played backups upon backups at the linebacker position. In every single game that you played. Miami, Buffalo, San Fran. Warner was the only guy. Okay. It's a big deal. Kansas City's offense changed how they were performing when one guy went out, and that was Greenlaw. All of a sudden, Kelsey's got 1 catch for 1 yard, and here we go. Right down the field with 87. Gee, wonder why. So, it's those types of things. And I want to bring this up because I saw this tweet yesterday. This is just, it solidifies my opinion on this matter. And actually, again, like I said to some friends yesterday, it digs the knife a little deeper. Using our framework, this is from Tom Bliss, Data with Bliss. Don't know, whatever. Using our framework, the 2023 Kansas City Chiefs had the most win probability added via luck of any playoff team since 2018. They were 76.4% more likely to win because of specific plays, the ball bouncing their way. So I apologize if I don't think, or if I'm not subscribing to the idea that I don't think that 76% is going to continue to hold up throughout Mahomes' career. I don't. It's not, because the law of averages say it's not. The Patriots went a decade between Super Bowl appearances. It's just not going, or wins, not appearances, but wins. Do I think Mahomes is going to win some more? Sure, he probably will. Is he going to win 10? No. Is he going to win 5? Maybe. He is in the hardest conference in football right now and moving forward that the NFL has seen in a very long time. Probably since the early 90s AFC, right? Jim, Marino, Elway. I'm missing a couple, but whatever. I just, So I think that's going to change. I'm not saying Kansas City is going to fall off the face of the earth. Okay, I'm not discrediting anything that they've done to get to where they've been. Okay, they've done things. They've drafted well. They've signed well. They've gotten the most out of their players. In my opinion, Andy Reid probably has 2-3 more years left. If that. I know he says he's coming back next year. Yeah, I'll believe him when he says it. I was hoping for retirement. That was my Kansas City angle, right? Kansas City wins if either Reid or Kelsey retires. Fine, take it. Go ahead. Don't care. Right? But let me just finish this guy here. Most significant plays for Kansas City that went their way, that were the highest in terms of adding to that percentage, right, of this year. 76.4%. Bass's missed field goal was number one. Plus 18.7% that added to Kansas City winning that game. So again, is luck a missed kick? I don't know. In this league, it kind of is, because guys are way more likely to make than miss, especially if you give Bass's history. And I know he's had a shaky year. So that was number one, 18.7. Number two, and this is just what it just re-delivered my opinion and the way that I'm thinking this offseason. The number two play out of all the plays Kansas City played in any playoff game was, and it just says, defensive player, Buff dropped 54-yard pass with 8:23 left fourth quarter, 18.3%. We know who dropped the ball. We know. That play, and people say, well, there was still 8.5 left. Who knows if you score? Who knows what happens? 18.3%. Number three on the list was the recovery of San Fran muffed punt with 2:42 left in the third quarter, 15.6%. The ball is going to bounce the other way at some point in time. It is. It is a guarantee. Again, kudos to them for doing what they've done. I'm not taking anything away. But what I am doing is saying this also needs to be considered as a part of their success. And I hope one day that happens to me. I hope that I play Cincinnati in the AFC Championship game next year and Jamar Chase drops a 60-yard bomb and it leads to my victory. I'm not saying no. I'll take it every freaking time. But this is what's been happening to Kansas City. Okay? Just has. Right? The second team. And I both ways. You get nothing but the truth here. The second highest team of added, this thing, win probability added via luck of any playoff teams in 2018. The number two team was us in 2020. 76.1%. Field goals and extra points attempted by opponents. So that was like Tucker misses, right? A bunch. Drop passes by opponents was pretty high. Dropped interceptions was like 12. But fumble recoveries by either team. Kansas City plus 56.5. They are that much more likely to win a game because they're the ones recovering the football. 56% more of the time. Something that just is really outside of a clear scoop. You see guys fall on balls all the time. All of a sudden it squirts out 10 yards. And now there's another scrum and then another scrum. And so I just found that interesting. and frustrating, obviously, at the same time. So that's really all I got to say about that. How I took it, and well, hang on, whoa, no, I got more. Kyle Shanahan, I'll just touch on in a second. Obviously, a lot's been discussed about the overtime and what he should or should not have done, and again, his rationale just doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't. If you're taking the ball first, right, in overtime, and we know the overtime rules obviously are changed. If you're taking the ball first because you potentially want to get the ball again, third, you're essentially saying that you shouldn't be kicking a field goal on your first possession. You shouldn't. You shouldn't. If your goal was, I don't want Mahomes to have the ability to win the game on a single possession, the likelihood of that happening is the third possession. I get that point. However, the way that it went, and you kicking the field goal, you immediately put Kansas City, if outside of field goal range to tie it, they're in 4-down territory. They just are, and you saw it. They had 4th and 1 on their own 34-yard line ish or whatever the hell it was where Mahomes took that little run for. I just you're asking for them to continue to go for it on 4th down, then they're not going to punt. The game's over, right? So if you go for it on that 4th and 4 of the 9-yard line and you don't get it, okay, now you're saying 90 yards, not really. 55 yards, 50 yards to get in field goal range, long distance field goal, to win the game. But if you get, and I know you can't say, well, then you get them into a 4th down on their own 34-yard line, they're most likely going to punt. And now it's sudden death. And now you get the ball, you're the third possession, the second time you've had it, and you can trot your ass down there and kick a game-winning field goal, win a Super Bowl. That's the correct way. And there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. It's not. That is not up for debate. That is the way. Because you take an offense that, and sure, Kansas City can elect to go for it on 4th down on their own 34-yard line. They probably won't. They could. But if we just go on common sense, they're not going to. Kyle Shanahan's fantastic. I'm not saying he's not. But, like I told a buddy, I think that he has some McDermott in him in terms of just situational football, not knowing, not seeing the elephant in the room, not knowing, okay, this is exactly how I should do it. He's been here before. He also has some of the worst losses in Super Bowl history, whether it be a head coach or offensive coordinator. I don't know why I'm talking like this. But, dude, at some point, you are what you are. And what he is a choke artist in the biggest game of the year. Now, the retort to that from me, or to me, would be, well, wouldn't you rather choke it in the biggest game of the year than the divisional round? Yeah, sure, I guess. Fine. That to me is a stupid point, but whatever. If you want to make it, go ahead. So that's just San Fran choked. Kudos to Kansas City. Enjoy your parade. See you next year. Coming to Buffalo. See you next year. Hopefully we get you again in the playoffs. Because the bow that I'll put on top of this is something that I took away after the AFC Championship game and will stick with me until we start playing football again. And really, forever. I believe that I have one of two human beings that walk the face of the earth that can go toe-to-toe with their quarterback. And I think that my guy is going to have his day sooner or later. It's going to go that way. The ball is going to bounce his team's way. His receiver's going to catch a 54-yard pass. His kicker's going to make a 45-yard kick to tie the game. Just things like that. Okay? That's what I believe. You don't? That's fine. Cool. I'll be here to say I told you so when it happens. How does that sound, huh? So this is 20. Okay, so I'll do another 20. Just complete transition. We'll focus on Buffalo Bills football here for just a second. Just free agents. So I believe it's next week, the 20th. Teams can start tagging guys. We're not tagging anybody. We don't really have anybody worth tagging. So we're not going to, have to worry about that. The list of free agents, and I got it up here in front of me. I'll go down the list, and then I'll go with some guys that I think that we should re-sign. And I'll just stick with that part now. Maybe in a couple weeks I'll get to, free agents that I would look to bring in as we approach free agency. And also, too, as they start to approach it, we're going to have a clearer picture on where we are cap-wise, the moves that can be made. And again, I'll save that for another episode. So, I got Spot Track here pulled up for the eye. Micah Hyde, number 1. Micah Hyde, Micah Lowe. I think Mike is going to retire. I think I might have said that. I don't remember, but I think he's going to retire. I think some telling signs of that were his exit interview, if you will, with the media on Locker Cleanout Day. Hyde's has always been a very, next year we got to do next year, we got next, and that he didn't say that. So I think the neck is a big thing for him. Multiple times this season. Obviously, he missed the majority of last season with the same type of thing. So his future, just as a father and a quality of life standpoint, I totally get it. And the guy's just been a warrior from the day that he stepped foot, in Western New York. He's just been phenomenal. Pro's pro. You wish, not to give you coach speak, but you wish you had 53 Micah Hydes, right? So I would love if he wanted to entertain coming in as an advisory role or some. I think Micah Hyde would be a really good coach. I think the way he approaches the game, I think his ability to, get guys to rally behind him or with him. That's just some of those traits that I think that he could, if he wanted to. I don't know if he wants to, go down that road. But so that's number 1. Daquan Dairy Queen Jones. An obvious re-sign. Gotta. And, just turned 32 in December. I don't think it's going to break the bank at all. I don't think there's really a huge market for 32-year-old one-techs that are coming off a significant injury. I think his home is here in Buffalo. I think he wants to be here in Buffalo. I think he knows what they have and how close they are. So that's a no-brainer. Lenny Floyd, another on the surface no-brainer. 31 and a half going on 32 years here coming in the next year. I think he's definitely going to be one of those guys that it will be one of those well-aged, or he will age well in terms of his ability. But the money's got to be right. Look, if he wants some 2-3, I would do a 2-year deal, maybe with an option to kind of spread the money out a little bit. He wants something more than that. Go get it, dude. Congrats. Appreciate you what you gave us this year. But again, I don't think that it's got to be one of these where we have to have Leonard Floyd back. Would like to have him back. Reasonable number. Don't have to have you back. Tim Settle, see ya. Next. Jordan Phillips, see ya. Next. I think Phillips talked about retirement. I'm not going to spend any time on either of those guys because, quite frankly, they don't deserve it, in my opinion. Tyler Matakevich, they'll move on. They got Spector. They have younger guys that can fill that special teams core spot that Matakevich gave them. Puna Ford, I would be shocked if he does come back. just because of the lack of usage that he had down the stretch. Showed some flashes, but wasn't as good as the run against the run as I thought he would have been. I was big on Puna Ford. Hand up. Say when I'm wrong. I could see maybe a vet minimum type of thing because they need bodies on the D line. So that's one. Dane Jackson, 27. I would bring Dane back for a depth piece. His market value, let's see what they got here, is a 1-year, $3 million deal. All right. I can do it. That's not going to hurt me tremendously. I got good depth. But again, their depth is going to be, they got Douglas and Benford. We'll see what happens with Trey. I think that's going to be, people have been talking about a big time restructure / just redoing of the contract. So that, he can finish his career as a Bill potentially if he wants to. And if he doesn't, do they move on from him? I don't know. That's their first guy. So I think that one's going to be approached a little bit differently than most. That's what I feel. And as it should. You want to do business the right way, and I think Bean is about that as well. Dotson. We got Dotson over here. Look, hand up. I hated Dotson. And part of me still does. I'm just letting y'all know that now. I think Dotson, he's 25. He's going to be 26 next year at the start of the year. I think someone's going to not pay him a huge contract, but hey, you can come be our starting either one linebacker for one of those lower end teams. Give him like a 3-ish year deal, something like that. If he doesn't, am I willing to bring him back? I feel like Larry David in that curb. Yeah, okay. I hope he doesn't, Look, he played great. He really did. He played very, very, very well. Why that's the case, I don't know. They got Dotson at a $4.8 million annual salary for just shy of $15 million. Again, we'll see if that's what he gets. If he does, God bless you, dude. Obviously, we don't have the capacity to bring that up. So, Taylor Rapp, another guy. Dude, I'd love to have you back in a vetman, maybe slightly more type of role where, if they bring back Rapp, that's a tough one. And they bring back Poyer, which I think that's also a question mark. We'll see if Poyer takes a pay cut. You can roll with those two guys as your starting safeties. That would also signify to me that we're not going to spend a significantly high draft pick on a safety, which I don't want to do. So, Taylor Rapp, let's see, he's got 2 for 11, $5.5 million average salary. That's not bad. That's fine. I would do that. Not a lot of guarantees. Highly incentive-based contract. Sure, go ahead. Where are we? 28. Perfect. Trent Sherfield. Vet minimum. At best. Absolute vet minimum. David Edwards. Sure. I would like to. Younger, 26, going on 27. I think someone's probably going to pay him to be a low-end starting guard. I mean, I think that he could definitely be a starting guard in this league, but just in terms of money, I don't think he's going to get some 4-year, $50 million contract to be somebody's left guard. But another one of those guys, like that $1.7 million vet minimum, keep it under the comp equation thing. Sure, I'd love to have him back. I think he was a good, heavy guy. I think what potentially could change that is if Doyle does come back and takes back that spot. Who knows, right? Damian Harris, I don't know if he's going to continue to play football. So, I'll, appreciate the couple of weeks that you played for me. Hope you had nothing but, health and longevity, right? Linval Joseph, big fan, huge fan, pun intended. It's another guy that, does he want to keep playing? would I bring him back over the course of 17 games? He would definitely be one of those snap count guys because he does one thing. So, we'll see on that. AJ Epinesa, that's a guy that I think that they're going to consider when they move cap space and create enough that they would give some sort of a contract to. What that looks like, let me see what SpotRack says here. 2 for 11 and a half, just over 11, 5.6 million a year. I would do that in a heartbeat. I think he's probably going to get more than that in terms of year, but I think like that $5-ish million mark is a really good spot for him. Loyalty, he said it was his number one thing. And he brought up the Bills were the team to draft me. So, who knows with that. Shaq Lawson, I can do without. They want to bring him back again on a vet min. Sure. Camp body, fine. Make the roster. Sounds good. My guy, Latavius Murray. Look, I was down on him, obviously, at the end of the season. Big Murray fan. I wanted him to be a Bill for quite some time. I think it's probably the end of the road for him as a Bill and potentially just as a player. We'll see. I mean, he's 34. He goes somewhere else. Somebody wants to, give him carries. That's fine. Kyle Allen, I see ya. I want to get better at the backup position again, just as an in case type of thing. He's 28, going to be 28. So Cam Lewis is a guy, and I know Sal Capaccio had said this. That's a guy that they, if they lose Rapp, they cut Poyer, Hyde retires. The only guy you really got on the roster is the clone himself, DeMar Hamlin. So he ain't a starting safety in the league. Can Cam Lewis do it? I've been really just down on Cam Lewis because of the big plays that he has given up. But he's versatile, and they like that, and he knows the system, and he's cost effective. Could they get him out of a two-year cheap deal? Probably. So they would, probably bring him that in that regard. Ty Johnson, abso-freaking-lutely. As quickly as I said no to Tim Settle and Jordan Phillips, abso-freaking-lutely. Ty Johnson's RB2. Without a doubt. Without a doubt. 26 years old. Just can catch it. Runs hard. It's exactly what you want in RB2. I don't have to spend a draft pick on him. Or on that player, on that player's replacement. And I think he can continue to grow to be even a stronger different pace running back from Cook. So, Gabe Davis, sayonara. We don't have the money to re-sign him, even if we wanted to. I appreciate his efforts in terms of what the production I got out of a 4th-round pick. I know many are down on him because he didn't take that next step to be a bona fide number 2 receiver. They gave him the C, or one of the C's. I think he approaches the game the right way. He seems like a really good dude. But someone's going to give him minimum 10 to 12, 15 in that ballpark range per year. And it ain't going to be us. If something does happen where he gets by the first couple weeks of free agency and they want to bring him back on a 1 year, cheaper-ish deal because he wants to come back, sure. He can add to the... I wouldn't bring back like Sherfield at that point in time. Doesn't mean that he's going to be the number 2. He'd go to being the number 4. Which that's where I think he's going to live. I think he's a low end 2 and a really solid 3rd option. I think that's what Gabe is. And again, over the course of his career as a Bill, that's where he was great for us. He really was, especially in big moments. So... And then our only exclusive right free agent, Quentin Morris. I think they'll probably slap whatever the thing they slap on those guys, and he'll be back. So, and then I'll complete the tight end room. So all in all, you go down that list: Jones, Daquan, Dane, I'll just go with the guys I said yes to. Daquan Jones, Poona Ford, Dane Jackson, Dotson, Rapp, Sherfield, Edwards, Epinesa, Cam Lewis, Ty Johnson. And I'd throw Quentin Morris in there too. So about half the list. There's 22 guys, there's 11. It is half the list. So, I mean, again, hopefully a lot of these guys they know what they're signing into, meaning the opportunity to win a championship. And look, some of these guys, Dane Jackson wants to go to Arizona and be a starting corner for him. Sure, God, they want to give you some 3-year, $18 million deal. Go right ahead, Dane. Ain't gonna happen, but if they do, go ahead. So again, they're not going to break really the only guy. The two guys that I would consider giving any sort of significance to. And I'm not saying like break the bank all-time record, right? But it's Daquan Jones and it's AJ Epinesa. Epinesa's a guy that as time progresses, he's getting better and better and better. He's flashing more and more and more. So what you would hate to have happen is you get this guy, you've molded him, and now someone else gets to reap the reward. He's 25 years old. They finally got him in the body type and weight and all that stuff that they want him in, and you saw he excelled. And he's made plays in big games against big-time quarterbacks. That's all I'll say. So that's my take on our free agents. What I'll do, like I said, let's see. It's Valentine's Day when I'm recording this. Happy birthday, Jim. Not next week, couple weeks. Get the combine here in 2 weeks. Maybe that week I'll do something with the combine. But it happens quick. That's the advantage of playing in the mid to late January is all of a sudden, in a blink of an eye, winter's over and we're, not over in March, but it's coming. Punxsutawney Phil. It's coming. But, you hit free agency and before you know it, you're sitting here and you're watching, the Masters on TV and, the draft's right around the corner. So looking forward to that. But that's all I got for you. I'll post it later today. God bless. Go Bills.